If you're like me, your days can get pretty hectic. Between feedings, cleaning up after a newborn, and trying to get a little bit of work in, the days just seem to fly on by. On such days, when I have limited amount of time to spend in the kitchen, I try to keep meal prep to a minimum. And one of my favorite ways to do so is to replace one meal with a simple, quick, yet super nutritious smoothie. And in this video, I'll share my top 3. The trick to replacing meals with smoothies is to make sure they provide enough calories, protein, and fiber, yet remain high in vitamins and minerals. As a registered dietitian, I'm not a huge fan of commercially available meal replacement smoothies, and instead I like to base mine on whole, minimally processed foods whenever possible. So let's start with the first. Here's what you'll need. About 1 cup of frozen mangoes, 1 cup of fresh or half a cup of frozen kale, 1.5 cups of soy milk, 1 fresh banana, and 2 tablespoons of flax, hemp, or chia seeds. This is one of my personal go-tos since it's super versatile. You can replace the kale with spinach, and you can basically use whatever frozen fruits you like. Just keep in mind that if you use red-colored fruits, like raspberries or strawberries, your smoothie is probably going to turn to a brownish color. Perhaps less visually appealing, yet just as delicious. Now, smoothie number 2 is a super quick breakfast option. I basically gather all the ingredients and turn the blender on while I get ready, and it's ready to grab and go by the time I'm done. Here's what you'll need. 1.5 cups of oat milk, half of a fresh or frozen banana, 2 tablespoons of flax seeds, 1 tablespoon of natural peanut butter, 1 handful of oats, a little bit of raw cacao powder or cacao nibs, and 2 dates. These last 2 are optional, but they add some extra sweetness to the mix. In my smoothies, I always try to use a plant milk enriched in calcium and give it a really good shake before using it so that the calcium that usually accumulates at the bottom of the container has the opportunity to mix back into the liquid. Now, my last smoothie recipe might as well have been named the drinkable meal salad, since its ingredients could easily be incorporated into a meal salad and eaten that way. However, since drinkable meal salad doesn't sound so good, I'll stick to rhubarb cherry splash. Here's what you'll need. 1.5 cups of almond milk, 5 ounces of silken tofu, about 1 cup of frozen cherries, strawberries, or raspberries, 1.5 ounces of rhubarb, 1 ounce of beets, 2 dates, 2 tablespoons of chia seeds, half a cup of cooked quinoa, and 1 handful of spinach. This one is jam-packed with nutrients, but does have a slightly more earthy taste than the other 2. So if you're not a fan of earthy tastes, you may want to adjust the recipe by slightly reducing the amount of veggies and maybe adding a date or 2 to up the sweetness factor. Also, it's worth mentioning that all of these smoothies can be made less thick by simply adding a little bit of water to the recipe. Smoothies are not only quick to make and super versatile, they're also transportable. Whenever I know that I'm going to be out and about for a couple of hours, I simply blend one up and pour it into a thermos before stepping out the door. They're also easy to double up in recipe and keep the leftovers for a little bit later that day or even the next morning. If you're interested, you can find all of these recipes and their precise measurements on the Veggies and More website, which I've linked down below. I hope that you find them as delicious and time-saving as I do. That's it for today. Until next time, ciao ciao!